All right, so today let's look at these two art world mavericks, SLART and David Shrigley. So they both kind of focused on this idea of the human condition, you know.
Hmm.
But SLART is a newer name, and Shrigley has been around for quite a while. SLART is based in Swindon in the UK. Shrigley is working out of Brighton. So what we're going to do today is explore what they have in common, what a collaboration might look like, and break down their shared, I guess we could call it, naive art style.
Yeah, it's interesting. Slart himself actually has said his art is about revealing and disarming human issues. And you look at Shrigley's work, and he's really kind of exploring those human dysfunctions, existential dramas, and general awkwardness of life, just the human experience.
Right. But the interesting thing is, it's not like they're, I don't know, shoving these really heavy themes down our throats. It's almost like they're inviting us in
Yeah.
to think about these things.
They are, yeah. And I think what makes that work is that they both use humor. Slart's style is a little bit more, I think, comedic, while Shrigley's is definitely more on the darkly humorous side.
Yeah. And I love how Slart's fighting with Schwarzenegger. You know, it's just this image of him in a wrestling hold. It's funny. But then there's that deeper layer about male insecurity.
Hmm.
And I think that struggle for self-acceptance as well.
Yeah. It's so clever. And then Shrigley does something very similar, like when he pairs a drawing that makes you laugh with a caption like, "I'm trying to be serious," that deadpan delivery just makes you stop and think.
Absolutely. And, you know, both of these artists, they work in what is considered a naive art style.
Mm.
So what would you say are the key elements of that?
Well, it's often characterized by a deliberate crudeness, rough lines, a simplicity that can almost feel childlike. It can be deceptively simple, though. Like, for example, Slart's painting, Not Today, came from a dream that he had. And he said it was a pretty heavy dream. This mob leader was sticking a gun in his mouth.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's intense.
It is. But the way that he presents it in his naive style is really striking because it makes you consider how powerful ideas can be communicated in a visual language that doesn't feel exclusive or highbrow. It can be disarming and maybe even makes you more open to the message because it's not coming across as preachy or pretentious.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it makes you wonder if that naive style
Yeah.
is part of what makes them so good at tapping into this childlike sense of wonder. Right? I
Yeah.
mean, Flart talks about drawing from his childhood and that kind of same joy he has when he's exploring these complex adult themes.
It is, yeah. It's like they're using this style
Yeah.
that we might associate with childhood to encourage us to look at the world through that lens again, with that
Yeah.
same sense of curiosity and that same playfulness. Shrigley even refers to himself as like an outsider in the art world, someone who hasn't lost touch with that childlike perspective. Do you find yourself drawn back to that way of seeing things?
I think I do, yeah. Especially when I'm looking at art that has that kind of playful energy. And speaking of playfulness, I can't help but think, what would a collaboration between Slart and Shrigley look like? It'd be like this collision of these two unique comedic voices.
Right. Oh, I know. Imagine Slart's Trespasso series, where he's exploring the power of eye contact, but combined with Shrigley's talent for like text-based art, so maybe like a large-scale installation, with these simple figures in Shrigley's style, engaging in this wordless exchange, but just through their eyes.
And then, boom,
Mhm.
like a single phrase. And that classic Shrigley font
Yeah.
pops up somewhere in the installation, adding like this layer of humor or irony.
Yeah. And they could weave in like pop culture references.
Yeah.
Or those memento mori themes that they both explore. That's
Yeah,
that concept of remembering death, recognizing the impermanence of life.
right. Thinking about Slart's bloodlines and being patient, there's this real rawness
Mm.
and honesty there, you know, as he's dealing with his chronic kidney disease.
Exactly. It's very personal for him. And then you have Shrigley, who kind of tackles those big themes of life and death, but with this dark humor. Like his piece, I'm Dead, which is just a tombstone with that phrase on it. So simple,
Yeah.
but so impactful.
Yeah, it's like this reminder that no matter how different our lives may seem on the surface, we all share that common experience of being human, with all the joy and sorrow. And I think Slart and Shrigley capture that so beautifully in their art.
They do. Yeah. It really is remarkable how they manage to touch on these like universal experiences in ways that are both profound and approachable.
And it makes you think, you know, how their art might resonate with you personally.
Yeah.
Is there a piece by either artist that you particularly connect with? What is it about their work that grabs your attention?
Yeah, that's a great question for anyone exploring their art, right? What makes you laugh? What makes you think? What makes you want to pick up a pen and paper and just start creating yourself?
Totally. It's like they're giving us permission to just tap into that childlike sense of wonder and express ourselves, you know, without worrying about being perfect or fitting into some kind of mold.
And in a world that often feels so serious and structured, that can be incredibly refreshing, I think.
Definitely. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've looked at the common threads in SLART and David Shrigley's work.
Mm.
Their shared focus on the human condition, their use of humor, and that distinct, naive art style of theirs.
Yeah. And we delved into how they both tap into that sense of childlike wonder and make art that's thought-provoking but still accessible, and even imagined what a collaboration between those two unique voices might actually look like.
Exactly. And as you continue exploring the worlds of SLART and David Shrigley, here's something to think about. Imagine if they collaborated on a piece that explored their shared fascination with eye contact. What kind of statement do you think they would make? How would their unique styles come together to create something truly unforgettable?